Welcome everyone to Talented Universe on this Easter Sunday of the 5th of April, 2026. I'd like to say hi to my wonderful co-host, Marsha. How are you doing, Marsha?
Hi, I'm doing great. Thank you. I'm ready to chat live. Love it.
There you go. There you go. And hopefully, I was having some problems with my computer. I'm hoping I won't have any problems the rest of the time tonight, or Marsha's going to have to take over, and I know she won't like to do that. But I would like to welcome our guest today, Rosa Singerman. Rosa, how are you doing?
Hi, Michael. Hi, Marsha. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I'm doing great. How are you both?
I'm doing great. I've recouped from Wondercon, and it was so nice having you on our panel, Rosa, and meeting you in person. It was really fun.
It was so lovely meeting you in person too. And as I've already said, it was such a beautiful event, such a surreal moment for me to be up on stage talking about my experience in the vertical industry. A lot of amazing questions were asked. And so me and my co-stars, we were so glad to be able to offer a glimpse into this, ever evolving world at such a prestigious event.
Yeah, as I had said to you when I had everything planned, what I was going to do for the panel, and my first question I asked the audience messed everything up, because I was shocked how many people in the audience didn't know what a vertical was. I expected we were going to have a lot of curious people there, and 85% of the audience knew what a vertical was. I had to change everything. It worked out okay, but it was a little like, okay, there goes 20 minutes of what I was going to do. But we ended up having a lot of questions, so that was good.
Yeah, it was great. Good. Everyone was so curious and just ready to learn about the vertical industry. So it was great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it was great. It was great. So just little things that I like to get over with, and I kind of said it in the panel, but since this is probably a different audience than we had at WonderCon, after you did your first vertical and you had to explain it to people, like your friends and family, how did you explain it to them? Or did you just gloss over it and just say, oh, it's just a thing, blah, 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 and then just didn't really say anything?
Oh no, I definitely my family wanted to know about it, my actor friends. So I think the way it happened, I did my first vertical back in August of 2024. Mm-hmm. And it was such a beautiful story how I came to this experience, my first vertical. So I had been looking, trying to get my foot in the door in acting jobs, because I studied in college, but it hadn't, been working out after I graduated. So I got this corporate job in the meantime, just to pay the bills. And then I was, also trying to get my foot in the door in Hollywood. And then one of my best friends from college, she had been in the vertical industry a couple months before I joined. And she was like, hey, I'm not available for this project. Do you want me to recommend you? And I'm like, oh, I would love that. Please. Thank you so much. And so then I submitted my first self-tape. And they booked me as the lead in that first.
Oh, wow. On the first one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was very grateful. Very lucky. And they flew me to New York City to film this vertical. And yeah, it was such a unique experience, for sure. It was one of those typical long banquet scenes, long banquet verticals. And then when I got home, I couldn't stop raving to my parents about how cool the experience was, how, I was the lead in this vertical project that it was still very new at the time. and no one knew really what it was. So yeah, questions were asked, and I just said, yeah, it felt, it was like a professional set, but it was a lot more fast paced, of course. So you had to learn to, pick up the dialogue very quickly, memorize very quickly. And, we were shooting 12-hour, 13-hour days, but beautiful experience. And that's what I always say whenever someone asks me about my first vertical experience.
That is really cool. I mean, that's close to when I think, because I stumbled across verticals about a month and a half after you started.
Oh wow!
And that's when I stumbled across. Didn't have our first guest until February of 2025, but I saw it in October of 24. So that was kind of that's kind of cool. Now, Marcia looked up this for me, and I do appreciate it. So because we do have a comment in Portuguese. So she translated. I couldn't get it translated right, but I'm going to go ahead and post it up, and she's going to say it in English. So then we'll know what they say, but at least the person will get to see it in Portuguese. Aranha Sorry Sarguar. That was terrible. Okay, but go ahead, Marcia.
Well, translated, it said said that I don't speak English. It was supposed to have a subtitle in Portuguese, but because I'm from Brazil. So she was or they were apologizing that they could not post in English, but hopefully they'll be able to get a translator that will work. But
that will work. That will be good. That will be good. And then the other one I wanted to post before we go to Marcia with her questions is Carla Sarmiento says, "Hi, Rosa."
Hi, Carla.
Okay, Marcia, you go right ahead.
Yeah, so Michael is at an advantage because you've actually met in person, so I'm kind of jealous. But but I do find it so interesting to delve into the history of our guests, and you were actually born in Germany, I understand. So, and when did you come to the United States? How did that?
It's somewhat of a long story,
Okay.
a unique story, but yeah, so I was actually born and raised in Germany for more than half my life. I'm American, but I was born and raised there because of my mom's job in the military. So I come from a military family. And but the thing is, yeah, I mean, I grew up completely as a German kid. And then my first time moving to the United States, I was 12 years old. So 7th grade was actually my first time in the American school system. And it was definitely such a culture shock for me because before that, I had quite literally only had German friends, I had like 1 or 2 American friends from the base, but I went to German school, kindergarten,
That's what I asked, yeah.
and we lived in, the German economy. We didn't live on base. So I had a regular German childhood. And then coming to the United States when I was 12, it was definitely a culture shock. Had to definitely do a lot of adjusting. Even like some of the, like, for example, like doing math was different compared to the way Germans do math. So then, had to adjust to like a different school system as well. But yeah, it's definitely shaped me into who I am today. It was definitely a formative time in my life for sure.
Yeah, and it's always interesting to meet people who have a really more worldly background, and it kind of gives you more substance to work with, I would imagine. Yeah.
I would say my, knowing the German language fluently and just the upbringing I had, moving around every 3-4 years within Germany, but like I said, then moving to California for the first time when I was 12, and then moving back to Germany You know, I constantly had to leave friendships, make new friendships.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, all that moving around and all that socializing's definitely helped with my acting, I would say a lot. It's helped me, you know, understand people, be a people person, and just you know, I'm forced to like make new friends whenever I moved around. So it's like I became used to it very quickly. And I will say, when I was younger, I definitely didn't like it because I hated leaving my friendships that I had already solidified. But then, you know, it always, whenever we moved to a different place, it all turned out fine in the end. Everything was always okay because, you know, I found the friends and the group that, you know, I connected with the most and formed those relationships. And yeah, it's definitely translated to my acting.
Well, you may see I have my Wayback Machine here, which is from an old cartoon with Mr. Peabody and Sherman. They put a coin and they go into the Wayback Machine. So we've kind of been in Rosa's Wayback Machine. But for your acting, one of your pieces that that probably was one of the earlier ones I saw you in was Dracula's Daughter 2.
Yes. That was a short film I did.
Which was really interesting because it's not yes, it's a short film, not a vertical, and you play a vampire.
I do. And I actually love the supernatural genre so much. So getting to play a vampire for that short film was such a dream come true. Funnily enough, I mean, my favorite TV show is The Vampire Diaries. So
it's perfect.
It's perfect, exactly. And yeah, I mean, I got to have these, you know, vampire teeth and blood in my mouth and, you know, do the vampire, you know. And yeah, it was great. Such a beautiful experience. And unfortunately, though, I have not played a vampire since. So hopefully.
Why?
I know. So I miss it. So hopefully one of the vertical projects that come along this year will be a vampire character for me.
Yeah. If you I advise anybody to watch that short where it's, I won't spoil it, but it's well worth the effort. Let me put it that way. To see Rosa as a vampire. And
Thank
did
you.
did you always want to be an actress? Was that your goal?
Yes, for sure. I mean, ever since I was a little girl, I would say even like already 6 years old, I was obsessed with movies, and I was always asking my parents to take me to the movie theater or watch movies with me at home. And so much so that my mom literally like had a whole album filled with different movies that I can like pick and choose from and put in my little TV. And so I would literally just also then watch movies on my own because it was like one of my favorite pastimes. It's just being immersed, you know, in the magic of movies. So yeah, I knew early on that I wanted to be an actress. But the thing is, I was in Germany, so it was a little bit like harder to figure out how to start that approach. But then finally, when we moved to the United States when I was 12, you know, I kept telling my parents like, this is what I want to do. And so finally they actually would drive me I think we lived about 4 hours away from LA in California. So they would drive me to auditions from the little town we lived in California to LA to then do these auditions. And I will always be grateful to that. They were always my parents were always a very big supporter of my choices early on. And then, yeah, I started taking it more seriously in high school, took theater classes in high school. Then I attended USC, and that's where I took it even more seriously.
Yeah.
As I hinted at earlier, I minored in German and acting. Unfortunately, it was a little bit too late to add the acting as a double major, because I did major in business administration just in case, you know, I had something more, something tangible
To fall back on.
Yeah.
Exactly. But I took so many more extra classes to the point where it was basically a major for me. So that's where I took it definitely a lot more seriously, added to my toolkit. And then like within the same year, like within a year after graduating, that's when I landed my first vertical. So it took off from there.
And as Michael said earlier, that was, you have had a very fortunate. It's probably due to your talent too. I mean, you were picked to be in verticals or projects because they thought you were good. So there you go.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, you know, my training in those 3-4 years at USC definitely, you know, helped build my foundation even stronger. And that's definitely what I pull from whenever I, you know, do my auditions and my self-tapes, and whenever I'm on set. There's always something that I'm able to pull from my education and my training.
Yeah.
But I also have taken studio courses outside of college as well to just, you know, keep that acting muscle going.
And before I turn it back to Michael, I have to talk about one of your verticals, the cooking queen.
Oh, of course you bring up that one.
Because several reasons. It's fascinating when you have a part where you have to be involved in something that you may or may not be that familiar with all the cooking and the so how challenging was that for you, or how much fun was that?
Oh yeah, that's a great question. So yeah, I'm not a chef, believe it or not. So I did have a stunt chef double to do all the knife work, all the, you know, the quick cuts, like, and just the proper, you know, technique that a chef uses in a kitchen. And you know, and then there was also fire elements involved. So you know, I had also my cooking double did that all for me as well. And like, as well as slicing, you know, that big duck that we prepared towards the beginning of the script.
Yes.
But yeah, I tried to do as much as I could myself. So I did do fake cutting, but my hands, you know, were cut off. So you couldn't see my hands. So then they would cut to the insert shot of my double's hands, you know, doing all the knife technique and the knife cutting. But yeah, it was amazing to work with two real chefs. And I learned so much from them, because I'm just a very curious person by nature. So I'm always asking questions. And yeah, I learned a lot from them, like about cooking and proper technique. And I do cook, but unfortunately, because I'm so busy, I don't make unfortunately enough time at home to do as much cooking as I would love to. But it was so cool getting to pretend that I was an expert in the kitchen.
You got to beat up some dough, you know.
Oh, that I will say, I do know how to bake. So I do know how to manage dough, because my mom is a big baker. So I grew up baking with my mom.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that was fun. Okay, Michael. Sorry.
Okay, so then you can't tell me how you created those animals when you were cooking.
All I will say is I have magic powers.
Okay. I figured that was what it was. I mean, honestly, I had seen another vertical cooking done the same way. And then that character ended up being on your show too.
Yes.
And so
yes.
I was like, I saw that and I went, oh, that is so funny.
Yeah,
So,
it's so amazing that the platform bridged those two worlds together. It was like, you know, he had a cameo in our cooking show. And so people were so excited to see that. I still get comments, or I read comments on below the marketing posts saying like, "Oh my God, it was so cool to see Adam Daniel
doing that, yeah,
be a judge for
judging for cooking."
Yeah. So it was
because
great.
he was like the king and you're the queen. So it was like that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm going to go ahead with Carla had a question asking, what is your process when trying to channel, embody your characters in verticals?
Yeah, Carla, that's a great question. I would say the way I approach a character is I start with their wants, their needs, what they're scared of, like the obstacles that they're being presented with. And for example, I have this character from Blood and Bones of the Disowned Daughter. Her trauma, she has a lot of past trauma. Her family was very abusive to her, never believed her when she was telling the truth. And then they eventually send her off to boarding school where she gets heavily bullied and abused to the point where, you know, I mean, this, I guess I'll spoil it, but to the point where, you know, she loses her arm. So that vertical went very, very viral. And so she has all this past trauma from her family, from her school experience, and that, you know, informed me on then how to play that character. She was more reserved in her emotions. She held back in her emotions. She was afraid, you know, to speak her thoughts out loud. So in a way, the core of that character became in what she wasn't saying, you know, all the thoughts that she was hiding in her mind behind her eyes. So a lot of the times the emotion would be expressed through stillness and her eyes and just that eye contact that she has with, you know, the people in her environment. So with that, you know, I'm able to, so then the circumstances inform my character, and then it's juxtaposed with a different character, Reese from Kidnapped by the Mafia, for example. That character was a lot more expressive and a lot more loud in her thoughts. So then that informed, she was a lot more confident too. So that informed me how to play the character, that particular character from that particular script. So it's just about kind of finding where the character lies on that spectrum and building the personality from there, like building from there.
Yeah. Let's see if I asked this question right. You were talking that you kind of like vampire series, like the Vampire Diaries. What are some of the other series in that genre that you have really enjoyed watching?
The others,
or others and other ones. I won't limit it to that. So, what are some of the other series that you have really liked that you've just said, I'd like to play something like that?
Oh, for sure. So there is also The Witcher that I really enjoy with Henry Cavill. And yeah, it's, you know, it's in the same fantasy realm, but it's in medieval times. So that would be such a dream come true to be able to play a fantasy character, you know, in the olden days, you know, in medieval times or in the 18th century. So those, just like being able to live in a world that's not our own, that's not part of, the real world, that has always been, my favorite genre. And like those are the roles that I would absolutely love to be a part of. And just like just being able to embody something that's not part of this world, like magical powers. I was a werewolf in one of my vertical projects, and I got to, use these force fields and this werewolf that was inside me, and then kind of, build the character from that and pretend I had these magical powers. And there was another character I played. She had healing abilities. So that was also very cool, being able to, kind of imagine this force emanating from my body, my hands, from, behind my eyes. So yeah, those are fantasy. The fantasy genre is definitely one of my favorites, and where I see myself hopefully moving more towards in the future.
Yeah. Are you excited that there seems to be more fantasy and just other genres that are popping up now in verticals?
Yes, I'm so excited to see the vertical space expanding in terms of genre. Rom-coms are definitely one part of that. They're making more rom-coms. I was actually part of a rom-com that was so much fun. We shot it in China, actually. And it was so amazing to be able to play a comedic character from start to finish. And she was just the character I played, she was just very quirky, nerdy, chaotic mess of a girl, who fell in love with this online persona, this online guy that was a model that like posted thirst traps and all of this. But he ended up being her boss, of course. So
Of
then,
course. Yes.
of course. So then
And
she
a billionaire too?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can't forget the billionaire aspect, that's for sure. And so then she ends up, needing to hide her feelings. And then she also has an online presence as well. So it was such a involved story. Like so many things were going on that made it just chaotic and beautiful. And I had crazy curly hair and these very quirky, fun, colorful outfits and very crazy, colorful jewelry. And it was fun to be able to embody a character that was so chaotic and eccentric.
That's interesting. And my last question is, what was your favorite moment at Wondercon?
Yes. Let me see. I would say my favorite moment was definitely being on stage and kind of introducing myself to the audience. Like, hello, everyone. My name is Rosa Singerman. I have done over 23 leads at this point. And
did you notice some of them, their eyes when you said that?
I didn't actually. I was kind of like looking, my eyes were darting around everyone like very quickly, because it was like my first time being on
stage. A little
stage.
Nervous.
Oh, yeah, a little bit. First time being on a stage at such a wonderful event. But yeah, so I didn't notice that, but I hope people resonated with what I said. And there was this one question that asked us, like, what's something that we had to pick up really quickly that we had to learn because of verticals? And I love that question because it really goes to show how different and how much of a roller coasters verticals are. And I would say the biggest difference is, the pace. You're moving at such a neck-breaking speed. So you have no choice but to, learn the lines, get the lines into your body as fast as possible. And then building a character you know, making emotional decisions, like, you know, right off the bat. Because sometimes in a scene, you're going from awkward to angry to then, you know, being attracted to your love interest. A lot, I will say, my character from Nerdy Girl's Guide to Hot Chemistry, her name is Phoebe. She was definitely a chaotic character like that, where you have to make emotional decisions like from one second to the next, and kind of just trust that the work that you've already quickly done will, you know, be shown on camera, and you just got to trust your instincts and be able to just commit to those quick emotional decisions that you need to learn to pick up very quickly.
Yeah. Okay. I just like to say thank you for the likes on Facebook from Grace Marie Durack and Abigail. Oh, I never can pronounce her name. Davidshek. Thank you very much for giving us a like. Marcia, your final round, probably. It just depends how things go.
Well, you talked a little bit about the costuming and the clothes that varied costumes that you get to wear. What would you say is your personal style?
Oh, yeah, that's a great question. So at the beginning of my vertical career, I definitely was typecasted into the billionaire persona. So as I told you a little bit about my first vertical. That one was called Don't Challenge the Lady Billionaire. And yeah, I mean, I played this heiress billionaire CEO character, and that vertical went very viral, did really well. And that's kind of what started, that's how I started gaining traction in the vertical world and started getting more, you know, more projects because of that first project I did. And the thing is, though, a lot of the projects that were coming my way in the beginning was, you know, I was playing the CEO billionaire or heiress character a lot. But then finally, you know, I tried to differentiate myself. I want to, you know, be able to play multiple different characters, like a range of characters, because that's the beauty of acting, getting to play so many different characters. And so finally, I kind of started getting a little bit more romance, drama scripts. And then I became kind of typecasted in the Mafia genre. So I've done a lot of Mafia verticals. And but now, you know, the scripts, they just keep getting, I do see that the scripts are getting better and better and improving. You will always, of course, get your typical standard vertical with like the big banquet and you know, the huge dramatics. But there's also now verticals that are, you know, being based off of books. You know, there's partnerships with novels that are happening now that are then, those novels are being turned into verticals. So then those scripts tend to be, you know, beautifully written, tend to have a lot more unique, you know, a unique story, and just more respect of the writing. So those scripts, I'm excited to see those scripts. And yeah, so I'm actually about to shoot a project that's coming up here in a few days, actually. And although it's, you know, kind of similar to the vertical format, it is different because you have the two main leads in this. It's not a typical man and woman. It's actually about a friendship. So that's beautiful to see that, you know, the genre and the space is kind of evolving in that way as well. Like, you know, you're not just getting the typical female and male lead, but you're also getting beautiful stories about friendship as well.
That is progress. And And it seems that the audience is ready for variety and moving forward. And it'll be exciting to see what's coming up next. Um,
Mhm.
and a little fun question I like to ask sometimes is, there's so many reality shows in the United States. Certainly, there's Survivor, there's the cooking shows, there's the dancing shows, there's the dating shows. So,
Mhm.
Rosa, if you had to pick a show on which you would have to be a contestant, what do you think that might be? A reality show or a competition show?
Mm. That's interesting. Um, I would probably I would probably either pick a cooking show or a dating show because
Mhm.
I mean, the dating shows are always so fun to watch because of all the drama that happens.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I am also I'm such a big romance girly, so I think I would fit in a dating show quite well as well.
Hmm. Okay. And you told us about your upcoming projects, and I just want to dip a little bit into your talents, your things that you might we might actually see you doing in a vertical, because I understand you figure skate.
I'm not a professional by any means, but
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know how to I've skated on ice in growing up in Germany.
Mm-hmm.
So but I've never taken any classes. It's just something that I picked up on my own. And so I can get around, but I'm no professional by any means.
Well, we'll see. We could see you as a hockey star. That'll be different. That would be different.
Oh, I actually did. I have been seeing more female hockey led
Yeah.
stories coming
Mm-hmm.
around. So that's very
Mm-hmm.
interesting.
Ah,
Yeah.
cool.
But no, my sports expertise lie in volleyball and skiing. So I'm a pretty good skier, but I've yet to see a skiing vertical. I would say that's a little difficult to do.
Hmm. But volleyball, that's a good one. That we have you ever thought about writing a vertical or a script?
I have been asked this question before, and although, I mean, I've actually never thought about writing my own story, but the thing is, I
Hmm.
do have so many ideas that always pop into my head, and I've
Hmm.
always been told to write these ideas down in a journal, or a diary, but I never got around to kind of developing that itch that a lot of writers have.
Hmm. Yet.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
But thank you so much for joining us, and I hope we can tempt you to come back and as we follow your progress and your projects and tell us some more about what you'll be doing.
Yeah, that would be amazing. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
And just from what you said about volleyball, I'll throw this question up. I wasn't planning on it, but Carla asked, "You play volleyball? That's awesome. What position do you like playing?"
Yes, so I was always the libero on my team. Um, the person in the back row, picking up all the
Mhm.
balls that go way too far in the corner or that no one else is able to, pick up because the libero, they are the ones throwing themselves on the ground to save the
To save the
ball.
day. Mhm.
We're sacrificing our bodies to save the day.
Wow.
And to me, I that's what I've always loved. It's just just like the being able to have those skills to just like throw your body on the ground and save the ball, save the day. And in a way that's actually that it kind of translates into why I love stunts so much. So I love doing stunts
Mm.
for my acting work. Whenever there's a
Mhm.
stunt involved, I get so excited. I'm like, yes, there's guns, yes, there's sword fighting. Please, like I want to do all the cool stuff. So I actually did take stunt courses in college. So I do have a small background in it. And I always just, I love being able to throw myself around or have a fight scene where I'm taking someone down. That would be nice.
Cool.
All right. We want to see more of that.
Yeah, we want to see more of that, Rosa. But Rosa,
Yes.
thank you so much for coming. Thank you for being on the panel at Wondercon. Thank you for just being you.
Absolutely.
And
you,
and we would, and like Marcia said, we'd love to have you back again. You got a few more things coming up. We'd love to hear what's going on with you. I think I got to most questions. I think I missed a couple, but come back next time. We'll try to get you into some more of the questions online. But so we are running out of time, but everybody, thank you all for coming, and we will see you again. We've got, I wish I knew what date it was going to happen, but we've got a wild vertical coming up. Not a vertical, a wild show that's not about verticals. And I'm just going to leave this out to you. And Marcia knows what it is because she's starting to die. And I'm just going to bring this out, and we'll have more information later when we get the guest booked. We are going to be talking about chess boxing. So on that note, I will see everyone next time. Take it easy, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you so much for having me.